Ease No Media, where we discuss media related topics at ease. So, today in this video, we will be talking about a sample frame in research. A sample frame or sampling frame is a list or database of all the elements. It can be individuals, it can be units, or it can be cases in the population from which a sample is drawn. So, a research sample is a list or database of all the elements. All the elements, it talks about all the elements like the individual, each and every units or a case in the population from which, a sample is drawn for a research study. It acts as a working representation of the population. So while conducting a research, we cannot take everything in our sample, right? So we have to take a sample frame. So as this particular diagram states, a population for my research, a sampling frame, then comes the sample. Population means my targeting population under study. I'm not talking about my whole population of the world. I'm talking about the population, the target population with whom I want to conduct that particular study. It's a part, and after talking about population, we will be moving further to sample frame. Sample frame means a part of the accessible target population. Populations means my target population for the study, and sample frame means part of the accessible target population. And sample means actual unit under study. Sample is the actual unit under study. So what is sample, what is population, what is sample frame? It can be stated that sample or sample frame is a list or database of all the elements. It can be individual, it can be units, it can be case in the population from which a sample is drawn. Now let's take an example. If you are conducting a survey on student satisfaction on Indian universities, all right, so there is a popular saying, there is a clash between private universities and the government owned universities. So if we are studying the impact, the satisfaction level of universities in Indian students, then the population is all students enrolled in Indian universities. Then the sample frame could be a list of students obtained from university enrollment records or an official student registration database. So this talks about, the example can be the population is all students enrolled in Indian universities, and the sample frame could be a list of students obtained from universities enrollment record. All right, now what is sample frame? Why it is important? It defines who can be sampled, that we must identify. While collecting our data or while setting our objectives, we must know where we are doing the particular research, for whom we are doing the research. So why sample frame is important? Because it defines who can be sampled. It helps in selecting representative and unbiased sample, most important, otherwise there will be error in our research work. It helps in selecting a representation and unbiased sample. It affects the validity and generalizability, as we have discussed in the objective part, in the characteristics of research, the validity part. So it affects the validity and generalizability of the research findings. Suppose if the sample frame misses significant sections, while selecting our sample, if it misses significant sections of the population, then the finding might be biased. So characteristics of a good sample frame, while talking about a characteristics of a good sample frame, we can say that it must be complete, it must be accurate, it must be relevant, it must be accessible. So complete means includes every member of the population. Accurate means information should be up to date. Relevant means must correspond exactly to defined target population. And accessibility should be easy for the researcher to use. We must not make our research work a complex game. It must not be a hard pill to swallow. It must be a researcher's it must be research friendly, it must be friendly to the research work, because a researcher is going to conduct a particular research for 3 to 5 years, so sometimes it takes more time. But while selecting, this is very important, and from the perspective of NT-UGC net and set, it is very much important, because from sampling frame we can expect many questions. All right, so while talking about sample frame, we must know three things. The three main pillar of conducting a or setting a sample is the population, the entire group. I repeat, population means the entire group we want to study. Sample frame, after population comes the sample frame. Sample frame is the list or database representing that population from which our sample is actually drawn. And finally comes the sample, that is the actual unit under study, the subset of population selected using the sample frame. Now moving on to sample, now it's pretty much clear what is sample, what is population, and what is sample frame. We will be now talking about research design. What is research design? Research design means SOSO. That means sample observation statistical operation. Sample observation statistical operation. It is called SOSO. So, blueprint or the conceptual structure within which research would be conducted. Design means the blueprint or the conceptual structure within which research would be conducted. It's a state of method and producers used in collecting and analyzing measures of the variables. While conducting the research, we deal with variables. So research design, it is also known as methodology. Elements of research design, while talking about the elements of research design, we can say number of dependent variable, one or more. Before starting our research, we must identify these particular things, right? So the number of dependent variable, whether it is one or more, the level of measurement. While conducting the research, we must know the level of measurement. Is it nominal? Is it ordinal? Is it interval? Is it ratio? Selection of scale to assess dependent variable. We must select the scale to assess dependent variable, right? Otherwise, it won't happen. So it is very much important, isn't it? So now we will be talking about the study design. Characteristics of dependent variable, which we have discussed, that nominal distribution or not normally distributed, is it normal, the Carl Pearson method, which we have talked earlier. Normal distribution, the dependent variable, is it distributed normally, the Bell-Curve one, the Carl Pearson one. So now the next step comes study design, the pre-experimental survey, the experimental and the quasi-experimental part. Study design can be divided into three parts. The pre-experimental, that means the survey. The experiment is just like production, pre-production, production and post-production. So access to organization and respondents, what they are saying, requires permission of individual, requires permission of organizational officials while accessing the organization, while handling with the data, the research work. Degree of control over the social system being studied. We must know the degree. We must know the degree of control, what social system are being studied. No control, there is three parts. Number one states that no control, number two partial control, and number three complete control. It can be divided into three parts. Degree of control over the social system being studied. First part is that no control. Second part is partial control, and the third part states that complete control. So types of data available. We must consider the different types which are available. Temporal dimension. Is it longitudinal? Is it cross-sectional? Is it single period? That we must understand before selecting our sample. We must know the research design. Sample size. Which sample size is required, we must understand. Data source. Which data source are required, we must understand. Gathering method of data. Is it direct observation, it is interview, or it is a questionnaire method? These things must be answered properly. Alright. So today we have discussed about the sample frame, the population and the sample, followed by research design, the blueprint The so-so, the sample, the observation, the statistics, and the operation, following with the elements of research design. Tomorrow we will be talking about sampling process, the probability sample and the non-probability sample. It's very important from examination point of view. Finally, we will be concluding tomorrow the errors of sampling. All right. So thank you for connecting at ease, no media, where we discuss media related topics at ease.